Conversations with Joy. We have this week Marlee Ward. Marlee was a really interesting interview for me because Marlee is the first person that I've interviewed that I actually did not know very well. I've met Marlee a few times and really sort of responded to her and the way she presents herself, but I didn't know a lot about her story or her philosophy. And so in interviewing her and getting to know her, I see why I sort of had that instinct that she was a person that I needed to present in Conversations with Joy. So I am really excited about this interview. I think that Marlee has some really great ideas and that she's part of, a bigger movement that we're all looking to join and sort of do our part to serve. How are you, Miss Marlee?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. I'm glad to have you today.
Thanks. Thanks for having me.
So tell me a little bit about what you do now.
Okay, so right now I'm a marketing coach, and basically I help people in a couple of different facets. The first one is helping them create a really sticky message that helps them magnetically attract people so they're not working so hard to find clients. Then I also help people in a capacity where, let's say they're at point A and they know they want to get to K, but they have no idea how they're going to get from A to K. I fill in the blanks for them. And then the third way that I really help people is develop a marketing system so that they're marketing on autopilot. I work primarily with solo entrepreneurs, people like yourself, and so you know how it is when we're out there, we're doing our work, we're getting clients, and then you get stuck in this place where you're doing the work and then you can't go out and get more clients, and so you need to automate your marketing so you can do that, and that's how I help people as a marketing coach.
What is your background? Like when you graduated from high school, what did you do?
Okay, so I graduated from high school and I went to SMU in Dallas, Texas as a theater major because I thought I wanted to do acting. I did that for a year and then I went out to LA for the summer after my first year, and I was like, this is not what I want to do.
So why not?
I really didn't feel like it was a healthy competitive environment. I'm all for competition, but I want to compete in a healthy way. And I felt like Hollywood wants actors and actresses to be what they want them to be, not necessarily who they are in a lot of ways. And I wasn't really willing to go down that road. I think the other part of it was I met a lot of waiters and waitresses. And they were like, oh, I'm an actor. And I'm like, everyone's an actor, but they wait tables. And I was like, I need a better quality of life than that, So I was like, I think I could do something else. And I got a job at a software company working alongside the marketing coordinator. And there was actually this really terrible office dynamic. Like, I had no idea what I was walking into. I'm all green and fresh graduate, like, yes, I'm a working woman in my pencil skirt, and I just felt so cool because I had my own office. Meanwhile, I walk into this storm of just nastiness. And what ends up happening is the marketing coordinator leaves 2 months into my working there, and the CEO was a real spitfire, and he would just walk in people's offices and blast them for no reason and leave. I mean, it was just a really crazy situation. I just kind of picked up the pieces where she left off because he hadn't hired anybody, and this went on for weeks, and I'm thinking to myself, when's this dude gonna hire someone? I'm doing this lady's job,
And how old were you?
I was fresh out of college, so I'm 21 or 22.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And so all of a sudden he comes into the office one day and I'm like, oh no, I'm next. I'm finally going to get it, And he's like, you know what I've realized? You've been doing Annabelle's job since she left. And he's like, we haven't missed a beat. And there was actually this huge corporate event that they were planning, and I just kept on planning it and just making the decisions and everything. And he was like, I've interviewed people, I don't like anybody. Do you want her job? And I was like, oh, okay, instant promotion, I'll take it. Long story short, I ended up at law school. And I practiced law for a while.
So what type of law did you practice?
Well, I started out doing civil stuff, just, whatever I could really find. I came out of law school at not the best time as well, considering the economy. Then I got really lucky and I landed this job as an intern as in-house counsel for a bank. I mean, I just was not meant to be a lawyer ever. It was just a profession that I fell into by default. And while I could do my job well, I couldn't do it with joy. Right. I was like, oh my gosh, I hate my life. I'm trapped with all my law school debt.
I see the theater coming out.
I really wanted to get out. but I didn't know how. And quite frankly, I had a really cush job. Like, all my lawyer friends were like, are you serious? You're in-house counsel, like, right out of law school? Like, who gets that, you know? And I had major benefits, a great salary, bank holidays. I mean, really, it's like I was playing golf every Saturday. It was ridiculous. HR calls me in and they said, you know, listen, we can give you 2 options. We can, you know, hire you on a case-by-case basis and outsource work to you, or we can just give you severance pay and you can go on your way. And I knew I wanted to get out, and I knew that this was the chance.
I see a theme of you recognizing when things around you aren't healthy, even at a young age. Whereas most people, I think, would get caught up in, especially the Hollywood kind of mentality, and a lot of people do. Mm-hmm. So where does that come from?
I think it's maybe just intuitive. Growing up, my mom always said, you know, you're so much wiser than your age. Always around adults, and people used to say, she's like 8 going on 20. Because I also, I'm a child of divorce myself, and my mom knew when to cry uncle. You know, she knew, like, okay, it's time to cut the cord. And so I think I saw her choosing a healthier environment for herself, because the circumstances were not what she wanted for her life, and maybe somewhere underlying that gave me the courage or the, you know, the intuitive sense to say, okay, you know what, I need to make a change.
So how old were you when your parents divorced?
I was 14.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Did she share a lot of what she was going through at the time?
My mom and I were best friends. We still are best friends. But I saw it firsthand, so it wasn't like there was a lot of sharing to do. I really served as a pillar of support for her. She is an amazing mother, and she was an amazing single mom. Sometimes I look at the things that she did and how she provided for me and how she played both roles, and I have no idea how she did it. So I have like all these law school loans and this like Miami Brickell lifestyle with like concierge and everything, and I'm like, John, I gotta move. Like, I don't know, I'm not gonna do, my severance pay is not gonna cover this. Just everything was such a mess in the economy at that time. You know, everyone was so scared. There was so much fear. People didn't want to hire anyone. Mm-hmm. And I remember I moved home, and kind of like the default thing was to just like send out as many applications to, you know, whatever. And so I just did that on autopilot. But I also spent a lot of time just thinking. I'm not going to sit around and wait for someone to hire me. I have to generate income. And I researched, you know, how to start a business, all like those basic things. And they're like, you need capital and assets and startup. And I'm like, you know, I'm waiting tables in college. I can't start a business. How am I going to do this? And I was like, I should go to grad school. But I thought, you know what? I'm going to go back to my roots. I'm going to go back to what I know. And I'm going to look for a market that I have connections in. And I decided to start a healthcare marketing firm, because I knew I had the marketing and PR background. And I had stayed fresh with marketing because I just was interested in it, and I had really gotten into online marketing, learning about how to leverage the internet. I was building blogs and stuff on bank time. I'm like on the laptop, you know, building WordPress websites, and they're like, how's that closing coming? I'm like, great, you know, they're doing the whole thing. So I was like building my skill set, kind of playing, but I was building my skill set even then. And I decided on healthcare because I have a lot of family members that are in healthcare. So I knew I could call and say, hey, do you know any doctors that need help with marketing their practice or getting some PR? My aunt actually lives out in Beverly Hills, and she works with all these plastic surgeons out there. So I knew I could leverage those connections. And that's really when the online marketing clicked for me. That's really when I figured out how to really leverage that. And then every client I got after that, I got through the internet.
So how did you end up in Orlando?
I married into Orlando.
Ah, I see.
Yeah. So while my mom lives in Ocala, it's about an hour and 15 minutes away, and while I was building my business and getting back on my feet, I really felt like I needed some kind of like interaction with people my age, and there's not a lot of that up in Ocala. It's kind of like retirement city. Right. So I joined Toastmasters, and I joined Toastmasters here in Orlando because I figured it was the closest place to come, just shoot right down the turnpike, and I met a boy.
How did you know that that was the one?
Gosh, by dating a lot of not the ones. Dating one too many not the ones. I was really clear on what I needed in a partner. Yeah. And I knew what I was not willing to put up with. Right. And so that made it pretty easy because, we all have our flaws, we all have our shortcomings and imperfections, but his were ones I was willing to accept. I'm like, okay, these things, I can live with this. I can live with this for the rest of my life, because so many of those other vital things were present.
So talk to me about your core philosophy.
Well, I would say that my core philosophy would be rooted in my faith. I had a really interesting journey growing up. I was raised Catholic, and I wouldn't say that we were religious. I mean, no, I guess we were religious. Maybe we weren't like spiritual. Like there was this no like, relationship with God talk or anything like that. It was like, I remember going to church as a kid and just being like, when is this over? Just like, stand up, sit down, stand up, sit down. When you are exposed to like a spiritual practice growing up, it sticks with you. And so when I moved away to Dallas, it was a really tragic experience for me. I moved there, I didn't know a single soul, and I'm biracial. My dad's black, my mom's white, and people in Dallas could not handle this.
Yeah.
They were like, they're like 20 years back culturally, even though they're a very modern city. And this was in the 90s. And they were just like, what are you? I'm like, human, female? I mean, what? Like, where are we going with this, I wasn't black enough for the black people. I wasn't white enough for the white people. And the Mexican girls were like, like, don't even think about it, And I was just like, I have no one. I resented everything about who I was. And I turned to faith, and I remember, I was in Dallas, so it's like the Bible Belt, right? And then, people are talking about Jesus and the Bible, and I'm like, whoa, like, that's a little much for me. I just need to go to church on Sunday. And I stuck with it, and I went away, and I stuck with it, and I went away. But I think, like, I found that God is real for me. And so I would say, like, if my philosophy in life is to trust that there is a God who loves you, who has a good plan for your life, who wants to grow you in ways that you can't even fathom. But I think that if you have the faith and you have the trust that you're going to learn and enjoy the journey, then you can have a happy life.
So how do you bring that into your work, into your business?
I think because entrepreneurship requires so much faith.
It really does, yeah.
It just requires so much faith. There's a gap emotionally and mentally from who they see themselves being as an entrepreneur and a business owner and who they really are. There is almost like to use like a spiritual term, like an enemy of your soul that wants to keep you from stepping into that higher, greater person that you can be. And I think as entrepreneurs, we're all challenged with that. We find doubt, can I really do this? At some point when you first start your business, you have to fake it till you make it. And, you walk through that little period of what feels like inauthenticity because you're like, can I really make this happen? And where's the next check coming from? And I think that being able to bring faith into my business helps me have stability, and it helps me encourage my clients, my coaching clients, to also have that stability. I think it also helps me be really in tune with them. In fact, recently I was working with a client who's launching a new business. She's a health coach, and something inside me said, encourage her. Right now I know she's got a lot on her plate, and she's doing a marvelous job. But I just felt like she needed some encouraging, so just sent her a quick little email, and then, 2 days later she writes me back, oh my gosh, this came at the most perfect time, and it's just like kind of listening to that inner voice, that says, show people love, show people encouragement.
Where do you see your future?
My ultimate goal is to build a business that does more than just profit, and my ultimate goal is to rally a community of entrepreneurs who have a similar desire. And I think that if more entrepreneurs took the mentality that they could take a portion of their profits and they could put it into the things of the world that need capital or whatever it might be, to help people that need the help, we could change the way the world looks. If we all just did a little bit, So many of us, we're operating from check to check, or we're just in this closed kind of lack mentality that we don't see how powerful we can be if we really grow our businesses and then leverage that. It's kind of like Jim Rohn talks about this philosophy that I love, Jim
The go-givers?
And no, he didn't actually talk about go-givers. He talks about this philosophy of living from like 70, 10, 10, 10, where like 70 is your bulk and 10 is for savings and then 10 is for investment and then 10 is for giving. And then he said something brilliant that just captured my heart. He said, but I'm working on a sliding scale backwards so that I live off of 10% and I can give away 20 and I can give away 30 and I can give away, the other 20. And he said, why would I do that? Why would I do that? Because if you're making the big money, 10% is a lot of money to live on, and he was like, to keep it would be distasteful. It would be wrong. And so for me, my big vision is to cultivate a mindset of entrepreneurs who want to work towards that goal of being able to live off the 10%.
How are you stepping from where you are to your big vision in the way that you help others do that? How are you doing that for yourself?
Yeah, little by little. Little by very little, mostly by trying to live it out myself.
What is the one reason your business is successful where others aren't?
I would say because I'm extremely persistent. So for me, I live with there is no other option mentality. This has to work kind of mentality.
So
And
what is your guilty pleasure?
oh goodness. I want to say ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
Love ice cream.
Yeah.
Vanilla, especially vanilla.
What makes you laugh?
My husband. He's a clown. I married my complete opposite. He's a clown and it's awesome. He's opposite, almost in every single way that I could possibly think. I'm very stick to the plan, let's do this, and, he's very well, why don't we do this in the middle of the plan? I'm like, no, that's not the plan, or,
What's your favorite movie of all time?
Oh, wow. That's a tough one. One of my favorites was Good Will Hunting.
Oh, yeah. What was your favorite childhood game?
One that I made up. And what we did is we were Burger King, and I was the drive-through lady, and the kids would come and ride their bike past me, and they'd buy food from me, and they paid in leaves. But they had to be these specific kind of leaves, otherwise I didn't take payment, and then they would get sticks.
So what was your nickname growing up?
Mars.
Your favorite breakfast?
Cereal. I love cereal. It's my favorite snack. Cereal. Rice Krispies.
Finish this sentence. Love is?
Forgiving.
What is your dream job?
I'm living it.
Yeah.
I'm in it. I think getting to create the things that are in my heart and help people move to the next level in their own business and life.
What is your favorite sound?
Thunderstorms. Really intense house shaking thunderstorms.
And your last words in life will be?
Thank you.
I really enjoyed interviewing Marlee. I think that she has a lot to share, and I think that her future is a bright one, and I'm looking forward to sort of serving with her and sharing that with her. I do have a blog that comes out every Monday in written form, and that really is more of my personal story. You can find that at divorcewithjoy.com. And then a newsletter you can sign up for on the same website. Sign up for the newsletter and spend more time with Joy.